Every RAG technique so far in this series shares one hidden assumption, that the answer to your question lives inside a chunk, and if you can just find the right chunk by similarity, you are done. Corrective RAG grades those chunks, adaptive RAG decides how many to fetch, agentic RAG lets a model go hunting for them, but all of them retrieve chunks by semantic similarity, and all of them assume the answer is sitting in the text somewhere waiting to be matched. Graph RAG breaks that assumption, because there is a whole class of questions where the answer is not in any single chunk, it is in the relationships between things scattered across many chunks, or in the aggregate of the entire corpus. Ask which of our engineers have worked with someone who now works at a competitor, and no chunk contains that answer. It lives in a chain of connections. Ask what are the main themes across these 10,000 support tickets, and again no chunk contains it. The answer is a property of the whole collection, not any part of it. Vector similarity cannot find what is not written down in one place. Graph RAG changes the retrieval substrate. Instead of a pile of chunks you search by similarity, you build a structured graph of entities and their relationships, and you retrieve over that structure. 9 concepts. What kinds of question this unlocks, how the graph gets built, and the honest, considerable cost of building it, because this is the most expensive technique in the family to stand up. Let us pin down exactly where vector RAG fails, because graph RAG only earns its cost against these specific failures. Vector RAG works like this: chunk your documents, embed each chunk, and at query time fetch the chunks most similar to the question. This is brilliant for one kind of question, a specific fact that is written down somewhere. What is a refund window? There is a chunk that says 30 days, similarity finds it, done. But it breaks on 2 kinds of question. The first is multi-hop, questions whose answer requires connecting facts that live in different chunks. Which of our suppliers are affected by the new regulation in the country where our main data center is located? To answer that, you must connect the data center to its country, the country to the regulation, and the regulation to the suppliers it touches, 3 hops, across 3 different chunks, and no single chunk contains the chain. Vector search fetches chunks that are individually similar to the question, but the answer is in the connections between them, which similarity cannot see. The second is global, or holistic, questions about the corpus as a whole. What are the recurring themes in a year of customer complaints? Summarize the main risks across all these contracts. There is no chunk that contains the themes, because the themes are an emergent property of thousands of chunks together. Vector RAG retrieves a handful of the most similar chunks and answers from those, so it gives you the themes present in 5 tickets, not 10,000, and confidently presents that fragment as the whole picture. Both failures share a root cause. The answer is not local to any chunk. It is structural, or aggregate. And similarity search only ever sees chunks, one at a time. First up, retrieve over structure, not similarity. Graph RAG replaces the pile of chunks with a knowledge graph. A knowledge graph is just 2 things, nodes, which are entities, people, companies, products, places, concepts, and edges, which are the relationships between them, works at, located in, acquired by, depends on, mentions. So instead of storing your documents only as embedded chunks, you also extract the entities they mention and the relationships between those entities, and you store that as a graph. Now retrieval changes fundamentally. For a multi-hop question, you do not search for similar text, you traverse the graph, following edges from entity to entity, start at the data center node, follow located in to the country node, follow affected by to the regulation node, follow applies to the supplier nodes. The chain of connections that no single chunk contained is now an explicit path in the graph, and traversing it is the answer. That is the whole idea. Turn implicit relationships buried across text into an explicit structure you can walk. And here is the key reframing to hold. Vector RAG retrieves by similarity, graph RAG retrieves by connection. They are answering different shapes of question. Similarity is find me text that looks like my question. Connection is find me the things related to these things, and the things related to those. Most questions want similarity, and for those, plain vector RAG is right and graph RAG is overkill. But for the questions that are fundamentally about relationships, connection retrieval can answer what similarity retrieval structurally cannot. Graph RAG is not a better retriever. It is a different kind of retriever for a different kind of question. On to the second one. Where the graph comes from and the bill. So where does the graph come from? This is the crux of graph RAG's cost, so understand it clearly. You do not have a knowledge graph lying around, you have unstructured documents. To build the graph, you go through your corpus chunk by chunk, and for each chunk you use a language model to extract the entities it mentions and the relationships between them. The model reads a paragraph and emits entity, Acme Corp, type company, entity, Jane Doe, type person, relationship, Jane Doe, works at Acme Corp. Do that across every chunk, merge the entities that refer to the same thing, every mention of Acme Corp becomes one node, and you have assembled a graph from prose. Now feel the cost, because it is the defining fact of this technique. That is an LLM call for every chunk in your corpus. If vector RAG's indexing is cheap, just run an embedding model over each chunk. Graph RAG's indexing is expensive, because entity and relationship extraction is a reasoning task you are paying a language model to do, thousands or millions of times, once per chunk. For a large corpus, that is a serious, real token bill measured in dollars and hours, not cents and seconds. And it does not end at build time. When your documents change, you have to re-extract and remerge, so keeping the graph current is an ongoing cost, not a one-off. The quality of the whole system also rests entirely on this step. If the extraction misses entities or hallucinates relationships, your graph is wrong, and every traversal over it inherits that error. So the graph is powerful, but it is not freestanding infrastructure you get for cheap. It is an expensive, LLM-built, continuously maintained artifact. That single fact guns when graph RAG is worth it. Third, clustering the graph to answer global questions. Building the graph solves multi-hop questions through traversal. But remember the second failure, global, whole corpus questions like what are the main themes? Graph RAG has a specific, clever answer for those, and it is the part people find most surprising. Once you have the graph, you run a community detection algorithm on it, a standard graph clustering method that finds groups of entities that are densely connected to each other but sparsely connected to the rest. These communities are, in effect, the natural topics or clusters in your corpus, discovered from the structure rather than guessed at. A cluster of entities all about billing disputes, another all about shipping delays, another about a particular product line. Then, and this is the move, you use a language model to write a summary of each community, a paragraph describing what this cluster of related entities is collectively about. Now, for a global question, you do not retrieve chunks at all. You feed the model the community summaries, the pre-computed, structure-derived overview of every theme in the corpus, and it answers from those. So what are the main themes in a year of complaints becomes, here are the summaries of the 40 communities we found in your complaint data, now synthesize them. The answer draws on the whole corpus, because the communities were built from the whole graph, which was built from every chunk. That is how graph RAG answers a question whose answer is in no single chunk. It pre-computes the structure of the whole and summarizes it, so the holistic view exists before the question is even asked. It is genuinely something vector RAG cannot do, and it is the strongest reason graph RAG exists. Number 4. Two search modes for two kinds of question. GraphRag gives you two distinct ways to query, and knowing which is exactly what an interviewer will probe. Local search is entity-centric, for specific questions. You identify the entities in the question, find their nodes in the graph, and gather their immediate neighborhood, the connected entities, their relationships, and the source text chunks attached to them. Then you answer from that focused, connected context. Local search is how you answer tell me about Jane Doe's role and who she works with. You go to Jane's node and read outward. It is a traversal-based, connection-following mode, and it shines on multi-hop questions where the answer is a path. Global search is the community summary mode, for broad questions. Instead of drilling into specific entities, you draw on the community summaries to reason about the corpus as a whole, the themes, the big picture, the aggregate. Global search is how you answer what are the overarching risks in this document set. So the mental model is clean. Local search zooms in on specific entities and their connections. Global search zooms out to the themes of the entire corpus. And crucially, a real system routes between them, which, if it sounds familiar, is because it is exactly the adaptive RAG idea wearing a GraphRag hat. A specific entity question goes to local search, a broad thematic question goes to global search, and something has to decide which. That decision is its own small classification problem, with the same asymmetric error caution from the adaptive episode. Two modes, one substrate, and a router deciding which lens to use on the graph you paid so much to build. Number 5. The questions only this can answer. Let us be concrete and fair about where GraphRag genuinely beats VectorRag, because that is the whole justification for its cost. First, multi-hop reasoning. Any question whose answer is a chain of relationships, who is connected to whom through what, is where graph traversal wins decisively, because the answer is literally a path in the graph, and following paths is what graphs are for. VectorRag can sometimes stumble onto multi-hop answers if the connecting text happens to be similar enough, but it is doing it by luck. GraphRag does it by structure. Second, global and holistic questions. Summarize the whole corpus, find the recurring themes, identify the outliers across everything. Questions whose answer is a property of the entire collection. VectorRag structurally cannot do these, because it only ever sees the top few similar chunks. GraphRag answers them from community summaries built over the entire graph, so it genuinely reasons about the whole. Third, and more subtly, explainability. When GraphRag answers a multi-hop question, the answer comes with the path it traversed, this connects to that, which connects to this, so you get a traceable, auditable reasoning chain, not just an assertion. For domains where you must show your work, that provenance is valuable in itself. Now the honest boundary, stated plainly so you do not overreach. For the most common kind of question, a specific fact written down in one place, GraphRag wins nothing over VectorRag. The refund window is 30 days. A graph does not help you find that better than similarity does, and you paid a fortune to build the graph. GraphRag is not an upgrade to VectorRag across the board. It is a specialized instrument for connected and holistic questions, and on everything else it is expensive dead weight. Number 6. The considerable bill, honestly. GraphRag is the most expensive technique in this series to stand up, and pretending otherwise leads teams into a very costly mistake, so here is the full bill. Indexing cost, an LLM call per chunk to extract entities and relationships, plus more LLM calls to summarize every community, for a large corpus, that is a substantial one-time token bill, potentially thousands of dollars and many hours of processing, before you have answered a single question. Maintenance cost, documents change, and every change means re-extracting affected chunks, re-merging entities, and resummarizing affected communities, The graph is a living artifact that decays if you stop feeding it, unlike a vector index where you just embed the new chunk and move on. Complexity cost. You now run a graph database, or graph storage, alongside your vector store, plus the extraction and community pipelines, more moving parts, more to operate, more to break. And a subtler quality risk. The entire system rests on the extraction step. So if the LLM extracts entities inconsistently, calling the same company to different names, missing a relationship, inventing one, the graph is subtly wrong, and unlike a bad chunk retrieval which affects one query, a bad graph affects every traversal that touches it. So when is this cost justified? When your value genuinely comes from connected or holistic questions and your corpus is stable enough that you are not rebuilding the graph constantly and the questions are valuable enough to pay for. Legal discovery, intelligence analysis, scientific literature, complex enterprise knowledge where relationships are the product, these justify it. A customer-facing FAQ bot does not. And the latter, one last time, build good vector RAG first. Confirm with real queries that your failures are genuinely multi-hop or global and not just bad chunking, and only then pay to build the graph. Graph RAG solving a problem you did not actually have is the single most expensive mistake in this whole series. Number 7. Not a replacement, a complement. The framing that trips people up is thinking graph RAG replaces vector RAG. It does not, and the best systems use both, because they answer different questions and the honest architecture reflects that. Vector search is superb at what it does, finding specific, semantically similar text fast and cheaply, and graph RAG is superb at connections and themes. So a mature system keeps the vector store for specific factual lookups and adds the graph for the multi-hop and global questions, and routes each query to whichever substrate fits, which is, once more, the adaptive RAG routing idea, now choosing between retrieval substrates rather than retrieval amounts. In fact, they compose more tightly than that. In graph RAG zone local search, once you have traversed to the relevant entities, you pull the source text chunks attached to those nodes, which is a vector-style retrieval scoped by the graph. So the graph narrows where to look by structure, and vector similarity finds the right text within that neighborhood. Structure plus similarity, not structure versus similarity. This is worth saying clearly in an interview because it demonstrates you see these as complementary tools rather than competing products. I would use vector RAG as the default, add a knowledge graph when a meaningful fraction of my questions are about relationships or whole corpus themes, and route between them, often using the graph to scope and vector search to fetch within that scope. That is a systems answer, not a hype answer. And it connects the whole family. Every technique in this series is a different tool for a different failure of naive retrieval, and the skill is not knowing the fanciest one, it is composing the right ones for the questions you actually get. Almost there. Number 8. What it takes in practice. If you are going to build graph RAG, a handful of realities decide whether it works. First, the extraction prompt and schema are everything. You must decide which entity types and relationship types matter for your domain, because a generic extractor produces a vague, noisy graph, while one tuned to your domain, for a legal corpus, parties, contracts, obligations, dates, produces a graph that actually answers your questions. Invest here, it is a foundation. Second, entity resolution is the hard, underestimated problem. The same real-world thing appears as Acme, Acme Corp, and Acme Corporation across your documents, and if you do not merge those into one node, your graph fragments and traversals miss connections. This deduplication is genuinely difficult and it makes or breaks the graph. Third, pick your storage deliberately. A real graph database like Neo4j if you will do heavy traversal, or simpler graph structures for lighter use, and know that graph queries have their own performance characteristics. Deep traversals can be expensive at query time, not just build time. Fourth, budget the build explicitly before you start. Estimate chunks times the per chunk extraction cost, because teams routinely start a graph RAG index over a huge corpus and get a shocking bill halfway through. Fifth, plan the update strategy upfront, not after. How will new documents enter the graph? How often do you recluster? Because a graph you cannot cheaply update becomes stale and then worthless. And the pragmatic close, for many teams, a full Microsoft GraphRag style pipeline is overkill, and a lighter approach, extract a simpler graph, or just add entity metadata to your existing vector store to enable basic filtering by relationship, captures part of the benefit for a fraction of the cost. Start with the cheapest thing that addresses your specific failure, and escalate to the full graph only when you have proven you need it. And finally, number 9. What they are really testing. When GraphRag comes up, the interviewer wants to know whether you understand what it is actually for, the specific failures of vector RAG it addresses, and whether you respect its cost. Lead with the problem, not the mechanism, because that shows you understand why it exists. Vector RAG retrieves similar chunks, so it fails on two kinds of question, multi-hop, where the answer is a chain of relationships spread across chunks, and global, where the answer is a property of the whole corpus. Then the mechanism. GraphRag builds a knowledge graph of entities and relationships extracted by an LLM, then traverses it for multi-hop questions and uses community summaries for global ones. Local search zooms in on entities, global search zooms out to themes. Then, and this is the maturity signal, volunteer the cost without being asked. It is the most expensive technique to build, because it is an LLM call per chunk to extract the graph plus community summarization, and it needs ongoing maintenance as documents change, so I would only use it when my questions are genuinely about connections or whole corpus themes, not for specific factual lookups where vector RAG wins for a fraction of the cost. Then the systems framing. It is not a replacement for vector RAG, it is a complement. I would keep vector search as the default and route relationship and thematic questions to the graph, often using the graph to scope and vector similarity to fetch within that scope. And close on the ladder, build good vector RAG first, confirm your failures are actually multi-hop or global, and only then pay to build the graph. Anyone can say knowledge graph, knowing that it answers a different shape of question than similarity, that the extraction step is both its power and its expense, and that it complements rather than replaces vector RAG. That is the answer that shows you would deploy it wisely rather than expensively. Let us bring it home. Every other RAG technique retrieves chunks by similarity and assumes the answer is written down in one of them. GraphRag breaks that assumption for the questions where it is false, multi-hop questions, where the answer is a chain of relationships spread across many chunks, and global questions, where the answer is a property of the whole corpus. It builds a knowledge graph, entities as nodes, relationships as edges, extracted by an LLM reading every chunk, and then it retrieves by connection instead of similarity, traversing paths for multi-hop questions through local search, and reasoning over community summaries for holistic questions through global search. That genuinely answers questions vector similarity structurally cannot, and it comes with a traceable reasoning path as a bonus. But it is the most expensive technique in the family to stand up, an LLM call per chunk to build the graph, community summarization on top, and continuous maintenance as your documents change, so it is not an upgrade to vector RAG, it is a specialized instrument. Use it when relationships and themes are your product. Use plain vector RAG for the specific facts that are most questions, and compose them, letting the graph scope and similarity fetch. Build vector RAG first, prove your failures are genuinely structural, and only then pay for the graph. That completes the RAG family: standard, corrective, self, adaptive, agentic, and graph. Next, the one that ties the whole field together into a single framework: modular RAG. Subscribe.